Silent Running on 4K Blu-ray from Arrow Video. A review of sorts. So I'm always intrigued what Arrow Video is going to do. But this particular movie, being a sci-fi from 1972 and curiously rated, let's focus here, rated G, I was most curious, but also the number one reason that I got this, so I haven't never seen this before now. And the number one reason I got it is because I was listening to the audiobook of Anthony Daniels' autobiography. So the guy that plays C-3PO, and he recommended this movie highly. And I was like, you know what? I listened to your book for a long time, and I feel like we're friends now. So I'm going to watch this movie because you recommend it. I mean, I've pretty much been talking to and friends with C-3PO for my whole life. So it would make sense that if he told me to do something, I would just do it. Or watch a movie he recommends. Hello, my friend. You should watch this movie. Goodness gracious me. Boop. Look at this. So this guy's name's Freeman. Boop. Look at his comfy little, like, space jammy clothes. Also, it's not lost on me that he's in a Garden of Eden type place, and he's in like a total biblical looking outfit. So the 4K of this looks really good. Maybe too good. So the reason I say maybe it looks a little too good is because a lot of the special effects are just little miniatures and like a little cartoony. And so in 4K, I think you see kind of the flaws or seams a lot more. Like the spaceships look a little bit more like toys, and they don't look as large as maybe they want you to. Also, I'll show it in a little bit here, but Saturn, the rings or something, it looks like it's being projected onto a wall, because it looks like you can just see like the bumps underneath the texture of Saturn's rings. It's kind of weird. But as far as the 4K goes and the HDR, the blacks of space are really where it stands out, and where it is heads and shoulders above what Blu-ray would be, because Blu-ray, the black would look more gray. So even though the special effects looked a little bit more dated, it was still incredible to see all the detail. Like, look at his little jammy robe here. I think that'd be such a cool Comic-Con costume. Like, just be so comfy. Like, you could even do the little hole in his elbow. But look at him. He's sitting there washing his fresh plants in front of the space window. And then check out his eyes on this next shot. So that is a pretty awesome looking 4K image on this thing. Look at the color. I mean, you might not be able to see it totally, but anyway, it's pretty grainy, but the grain looks untouched. I'm always going to address this because I think if you know how the grain in a movie looks, then it'll kind of tell you about how the rest of it's going to look. So the grain is quite heavy, but in this movie it looks like it's untouched, so it's always kind of has that like tingly motion, which is the film going through the projector, or in this case the film going through the scanner for them to do the restoration. But so the grain's on the louder side, but the image just looked nice and clean, and I felt like I was watching a brand new 35mm print of this. As far as the audio goes, it's pretty much just mono the whole time, so nothing too intense as far as like a sci-fi movie goes. It's more of a quiet loner thinking kind of a sci-fi movie anyway, but the audio was fine. I could hear it clearly, but yeah, it was just a one track mono, but it sounded very, very good. So really where this 4K is going to stand out is going to be in the special features that are on here, because it's so super loaded, and that's kind of what these guys are known for. So I have an unboxing video where I go through the entire booklet and everything, so I'm not going to really do that here, but I think that's kind of what you're going for on this thing, because this movie's only 89 minutes long, and it's actually really simple and very environmental in its plot, and it doesn't try and hide the fact that it's being like really preachy about saving the forests. Look at this ship, this miniature shot. So these ships, kind of their long shapes, and they have these little bubbles, these little domes of forests on them. But yeah, see what I mean by the sets? Oh, hang on a second. Yeah, like this. They look more like you're looking at little miniatures instead of large ships. So that was a little bit distracting, but this I think the story was so good that I was able to still focus on what was going on. Okay, so the entire plot hinges off of this moment right here. So these guys are on this deep space mission to preserve these forests because the ones on Earth are bad, something, something. So they're getting some new orders here, and this pretty much sets everything in motion.
Just received orders to abandon and nuclear destruct all the forests and return our ships to commercial service.
Abandon and nuclear destruct all the forests. That's their orders. So they gotta eject these pods of forests off of their ships and nuclear destruct them and return their ships to commercial service. Because you can't just jettison them and leave them floating, or even get them set in an orbit around a planet and leave them floating. You've got to nuclear destruct them. What? I mean, I understand that the ships need to go back to commercial service, but like you're going to destroy this forest pod. I don't understand. But this movie is really aggressive in the people destroying the forest, and then he's got to protect the forest at all costs. The forest. So up until this point in the movie, you've seen him kind of arguing the point of like fresh food and about the forest and stuff. And so he's into the forest, and also he eats the food that he grows while everyone else just eats their boring like space food. So you know what he's about. And then you see him playing with the rabbits in the forest and stuff. But I can relate with this guy because I love the forest also. However, in a previous life job, I've been paid to destroy huge amounts of forest in the name of protecting it. And I can say that it was a pure joy. Actually, there's videos on my channel. That's where my channel got its name from, My Fire Videos. There's quite a bit of video of me burning down the forest on this channel, and it's a pure delight. Of course, I'm doing it in a very safe and professional manner for a purpose to preserve the forest or to protect structures. But my goodness, that's enjoyable. And then these guys, all the crewmates get all excited about nuking the forest. And it's like, you barbarians, how could you be excited about that? And it's like, that would be really fun. So it kind of sucks because it's like the last of the forest or whatever, but I can at least sympathize with the rest of the crew where they're just like, yes, we're going to nuke stuff. It'll be cool. But yeah, it is sad because I do also really like the forest. Don't think I'd kill for it though, but it makes it fun to watch this. Okay, one thing that super caught me off guard about this movie is this music. Okay, sorry, I can't really let it play for too long because it'll get me. But there's some hippie music going on here. I mean, it kind of reminds me of Joni Mitchell a little bit, but whoa, there's some forest-loving music right there. So this next shot blew my mind when I saw it. Really, I think this wins absolute favorite shot in the whole movie coming up here. It's going to be a little more hippie music. Here we go. Look at this. Anyway, it's a little hard to see that. Let's see if I can get rid of this display thing. There we go. Okay. Yeah, it's a little bit washed out on the phone, but you have an awesome Saturn in the background with the rings and everything, just in the background of this little dome. So he's in here just feeling sad for his flowers and stuff. But that shot, when it first came up, I was just like, whoa, that is a beautiful shot. Here's another one. Look at that. It's so good. Pause it because they get me because the music playing. But yeah, it just showed an exterior shot of them flying by. But Just look at that. So this movie has some incredible imagery. So Freeman's given this super intense speech to these guys about how everything on Earth is the same. All the people are the same. It's 75 degrees everywhere you go. And there's no trees. And the sky's not blue anymore. So obviously we don't even ever get to see Earth in this movie, but they talk about an Earth that is definitely not doing good as far as nature goes. And then listen to this.
Look at that little girl's face. I know you've seen it. But you know what she's never going to be able to see? She's never going to be able to see the simple wonder of a leaf in her hand. Because there's not going to be any trees.
So yeah, he's really lecturing these guys about the beauty of the old Earth, and they're like, well, why do you want to go back so bad if you don't like all of our fake food and everything? And he says, because it's not too late to change it. So he's definitely an environmental crusader. And then this line that this guy says is actually really, really sad. And you can tell that the movie, like the writing isn't trying to hide anything. It's, it's kind of like Star Trek, where it's set in a sci-fi world, but it's addressing like the issues or whatever. But listen to what this guy says.
If people were interested, something had been done a long time ago. You ready? Yeah. Yeah.
He says if people were interested, as in saving the planet, something would have been done a long time ago. So that's just a sad commentary, trying to make you feel guilty. Kind of like after you watch the movie WALL-E. After I saw the movie WALL-E in theaters, I had this, or I at least felt like I had been programmed to stand up in the theater and be like, I will recycle, or something like that. It's very, very on the nose. Boop. For the message. So we get the message, but they really hammer it the whole time. But I didn't think it ruined the movie, because that's the whole point of the movie. He's trying to save his little forest. But we, watching the movie, are supposed to be wanting to save our own forest. Look at this awesome shot right there. Kind of makes you wonder if the movie Alien was inspired by this, with the long narrow corridors. Also, I really like this follow-up shot here. Right there, where it was kind of over his shoulder looking at him out the door. Right there. Anyways, so the movie looks great. It has a lot of cool shots in it. So here's another little reminder to my past, but these little detonators that they're getting out here, kind of unscrewing, like aluminum. They've got little switches and buttons and stuff like that. So these just these little aluminum things with little buttons and switches, and that are so shiny and little, they reminded me of artillery fuses. So in field artillery, you've got 95-pound bullets that you're shooting out of the howitzers, and on top of those you screw on a fuse, and the fuses are kind of like this. So the fuse could be, I'll just keep it vague and say they could do various things. So anyway, I just saw this, and just the tactile, like the sound of them screwing those things together, just really brought me back to artillery fusing, putting fuses on top of artillery shells for whatever reason. So Freeman's in here frantically trying to pack up some flowers and some flower pots, because he knows he's got to get rid of his forest. But while out in space, more and more of the little forest pods are getting nuclear destructed, and you can tell he's getting more and more disturbed and mad. So I think it's just driving him that he really doesn't want this to happen. So anyway, this movie was really good, and I'm tempted to just walk through the whole thing and tell you my thoughts on every single shot, because it's the kind of movie that wants to be talked about. But yeah, just in case there's some people like me where you're watching this movie for the first time through this Arrow video release, I won't give everything away. But for those of you that have seen it, this part here, I feel like it's pretty clear what part this is. I want to know if you think that this is justified. So here's that shot I was kind of talking about earlier, where such high resolution of the special effects kind of actually hurts it a little bit. So here's the rings of Saturn, and there's this texture here and this like this seam right here. I'm not sure what that is, but look at it when it's moving. There we go. You see that? It's like, I kind of wonder if that's like a projection on the wall or something, and the wall is like super dented up. All right, I was like, whoa, when this next song started going. Listen to this is for real. Earth between my toes and the flower in my hair. Sorry, just anytime a song says a flower in my hair, it's like, oh, okay, this is a super hippie song. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Like I said, I'm good with the message of the movie, but it's like so strong. Just like these hippie songs. They're great. In case you need a hint how not subtle this movie is, here you go. You better save the forest, dang it. I thought these little robots were pretty awesome, and how he in detail reprograms them to do what he wants to do, like surgery and play games with them. These little robots there, I thought those were pretty awesome. So these robots are called Huey and Dewey, and one of my favorite lines, real line from the movie, is as follows. It's, Huey and Dewey, come on, we can still save the forest. That's a real line in the movie. These little go-karts are so cool. I love the over-the-shoulder go-kart shots. So cool. All right, so I'm not going to spoil the ending, but all I'm going to say is that when it did end, I was just like, the fuck? All right, so this movie is really good. It's very well made. I don't know if it's super repeatable. It looks great on 4K. It looks very grainy, and you can see the seams of the special effects. But the color and the resolution are awesome. And then Bruce Dern, pretty sure that's his name. Is that his name? Bruce Dern? Yeah. He did really good in this. And yeah, the music, the fun hippie music was good, but also like the creepy, like sci-fi music was great. But I really enjoyed it. I'm really glad I watched it. I'm glad C-3PO recommended it to me in his audiobook. But I wanted to record this part of the review before I watched anything else, before I watched any of this stuff, because I wanted to give just my opinion of the movie without being too informed by all the special stuff. So really good, and I definitely think people should see this movie. Like, I absolutely think it's a great movie, but it's just like 2001 Space Odyssey. I can just watch that over and over and over and over. And we'll see on this one. I'm going to watch special features and read the essays and stuff and kind of see how I feel, if it's repeatable or if I've kind of got what I need to and I need to sell it. All right, there's a few movies that I really like that have people that are by themselves in space or limited people, and that is Approaching the Unknown, starring Mark Strong, and also Europa Report and The Martian. So I really like that kind of movie. As a matter of fact, going back earlier when I was talking about destroying the forest, here are a couple pictures of me destroying/protecting the forest. So there's that one, and then this next one is really like. Look at that. I lit that. Anyway, that's a massive prescribed burn, back burn, top an even bigger fire. So, yeah. All right, I'm waxing long, but what are your thoughts on this movie? Have you seen it? Do you like it? Do you want to see it? The 4K restoration looked fantastic. It looked magnificent. The grain was large and pretty constant. I don't think I saw any film scratches. And yeah, just beautiful restoration. The color probably true to the source. There's a lot of like foresty type colors. Nothing too crazy vibrant, but I think that's just because the source. So this really felt like a faithful presentation. So anyway, if you made it this long, let me know. This is a long one, and I don't often try and do this, but I guess I could keep going on about this movie. But let me know what you thought, and if you have any other recommendations for me as far as space movies like this one, I would appreciate that. Hey, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.